Hi, everybody, and welcome to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Jonathan.
And today's article is the first of our three-part story about the Midnight Library, which is this month's literature article. Have you read this book, Jonathan?
I don't think so, so it'll be interesting to see what we find out.
Right. I've only read the brief summary we've done for this article. I don't know the full story. What kind of books do you normally read?
I like to read science fiction or fantasy type of stuff.
Okay, me too. Who are some of your favorites?
My favorite author is Neil Gaiman.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I've read American Gods and Anansi Boys and a couple of others, like different adaptations of a few of them. One of my current favorites, Stephen Erickson.
Okay,
countryman of yours. He's a Canadian author of a giant 10-book series of epic fantasy. So I'll talk to you about that later.
All right.
So this story we're going to look at does have some kind of fantastic, kind of strange elements. It's not just a kind of set in the real world story. Part of it is, but part of it is in this place called the Midnight Library. What is that? Let's find out by reading through day one.
Reading.
The Midnight Library. 19 years before I decided to die, I played chess with my school librarian, Mrs. Elm. She told me,
"You can be anything you want, Nora."
At the time, that seemed true. I was smart and had talent in swimming. In my 20s, I was in a band with my brother Joe, and we had big dreams. But now, at 35, all those dreams are gone. I work a dead-end job in a music store. I broke up with my fiancé, Dan. Joe and I don't speak anymore. My best friend Izzy moved to Australia and isn't talking to me either. Today, my cat, Voltaire, was killed by a car. I was fired from my job, and then my only piano student quit. Even my elderly neighbor didn't need me to assist him anymore. Nobody needed me, so I decided to commit suicide. I left a goodbye message for Joe, and then I took a lot of pills. But then, I wake up in front of a huge library, and Mrs. Elm is there.
So the article begins by giving us a fairly sort of scary moment to get us right into the story. It says, 19 years before I decided to die, I played chess with my school librarian, Mrs. Elm. So this is a pretty kind of a chilling way to get into the story, right?
Yeah, it's quite an ominous...
Yeah, because now we know that this main character, whoever it is going to die, and she decided to die. We're going to find out why that is. We will mention one other word before we move on, which is a librarian. A librarian is somebody who works in or manages a library. So here it's a school librarian, so... This person works in the school library, looks after the books. They kind of organize things. They know what's been borrowed and lent and when it's returned. They make sure all the books are in the right places. They take care of them. They bring in new books and move out old ones and so on. So that is a librarian. So what's going on in this story then?
Well, the article says, "She told me you can be anything you want, Nora."
Okay, so we know that this person, this main character, is named Nora. And at the time, presumably at school, she was, going to be anything. She could have a big future in front. And in fact, we see in the article, at the time, that seemed true. We use this phrase at the time to refer to a particular time, and it's one that we've already mentioned in the story or in whatever we're talking about. So we know that this is 19 years before the woman's death, and if they're playing chess with a school librarian, we can probably guess that they're in school. And since they know the librarian well, they're not a new student, maybe they're towards the end, they've got to know the teachers and other staff members. But at that time, so when this person, Nora, was still in school, having a big future seemed true.
And the word seem means to give the idea of being something or having a particular quality. We often use it when we think that's how something is, but we're not 100% sure if it's true or not. For an example sentence, I'm not sure if Amy will come to the party, but when I told her about it, she seemed interested. So in the article, when she's told she can be anything she wants, Nora seems to believe that is true.
Yeah, we're talking about appearance here. And why does she believe that she's got this big future and she can be anything? Well, in the article, we see she says, because this is first person from the main character's point of view, I was smart and had talent in swimming. We use the word talent to mean some kind of skill or ability, something you can do with your body or with your mind. And we especially use this word talent when we're talking about somebody having more of this skill than an average person. So most people are able to swim reasonably well, but if you have a talent in swimming, that means you're very fast, you can swim for a long time, maybe you could swim in competitions and win medals, that kind of thing. Here's another example. Michelle has a talent for languages and can speak English, Chinese, Japanese, and Korean.
All right, the article says, in my 20s, I was in a band with my brother Joe, and we had big dreams. So, Pat, were you ever in a band?
Oh, good grief, no. I have no musical talent whatsoever. I can't sing well. I can't play an instrument. I probably wouldn't even be used as a dancer. How about you?
Oh, yeah. When I was in college, I was in a music program. So me and my classmates and pretty much everybody in my department was in one sort of band or another. And a typical Saturday outing would be to go to a live show and play on stage when it's your turn. And then when it's not your turn, you just are part of the audience and watching the other bands play. So, yeah, it was great.
What did you play?
I played a few things. I played guitar and I played keyboards and sometimes I would sing. So it just depended on what was needed in that particular show.
Awesome. Okay, so Nora was in a band with her brother. We had big dreams. They thought they were going to make it big, get a record deal, that kind of thing. However, this didn't work out. The article says, but now, at 35, all those dreams are gone. So at 35 means Nora is now 35. So this is the current time of the story. 19 years ago, she would have been, that's 16 when she was playing chess with a librarian. Now, 35, all these dreams about swimming or being in a band, these dreams have gone away. So what's going on in her life now?
Well, the article says, I work a dead-end job in a music store. So a dead-end job, I'll explain what that is. In many jobs, you take your experiences and you use them to grow into better jobs. For example, in Canada, I worked at a call center helping people with their computers. Then I moved on using those skills to provide support at a large company. Then I moved up in that company into network support. But in a dead-end job, you're not learning skills that help you grow into the next job. So you feel like you're just stuck doing the same job over and over and you don't see a way forward.
So maybe, if you've already learned all the skills, you're not going to become a manager, you're not going to get more money. Right, that is a dead-end job, and no one wants to be in that situation. But there's worse for Nora. We see in the article, I broke up with my fiancé, Dan. So to break up with someone means, in this case, to end a romantic relationship. You were together, but now you're not. And in this case, she broke up not just with a boyfriend, but with a fiancé.
That's right. So if you and your boyfriend or girlfriend decide to get married, that person becomes your fiancé. It means you're not married yet, but you've promised to marry each other.
So you'll see in our article we've got that French accent over the E, which gives it the pronunciation fiancé. If it's a girl, then you add an extra E. It's got two E's on it. So fiancé, fiancée. I think it's pronounced the same, right?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Right, but it's just spelt with an extra E if we're referring to a woman. So we then see Joe, remember that's her brother, Joe and I don't speak anymore. So it's not just her partner, her couple, her fiancé that's broken up. She doesn't even speak to her brother, her family. And we say she doesn't speak to him anymore. Anymore is used as a negative adverb. It's to show that this thing doesn't happen at all. It used to, but now it doesn't. So if someone doesn't work here anymore, they've left. If I say I don't play sports anymore, it means I've stopped doing it completely.
The article says, my best friend Izzy moved to Australia and isn't talking to me either. So, very sad. She doesn't have her best friend anymore. Her best friend is moved far away and, yeah, she's not able to talk to that person.
Right. When we say that isn't talking to me, we're kind of guessing they've also maybe had an argument of some sort. Okay, and it gets worse, and this really piles on. Today, my cat, Voltaire, was killed by a car. So this is obviously a really horrible thing. If you've had a pet die in this kind of sudden way, it is very tragic.
Yes, and then the article says, I was fired from my job, and then my only piano student quit. To quit means to leave. For example, to leave your job or school. Here's an example sentence. Molly wanted to live in America. She saved her money, quit her job at the bank, and moved to California. But in her case, this isn't such a positive thing. Her piano student quit, so it means she has apparently no access to money. She can't get money from her job. She can't get money from her piano student. So she's really in a bad place.
Yeah, I mean, and she was fired from her job, which means that maybe all of these things that have been piling up on her life has caused her to maybe make mistakes. Maybe she hasn't been able to go into work some days and didn't tell her boss, so the boss said, well, that's it, you're out, you're fired. You can't work here anymore. I mean, as all this piles up, I start to think, could this really all happen to one person? And unfortunately, the answer is yes. I'm sure that all this kind of negative stuff has all piled up onto different people at different times. So you might look and think, well, this is just a book. There's no way all this bad stuff could happen to one person. But I think sadly, it probably can, especially as one problem often leads to another. If someone is unhappy with maybe their job or something, that could lead to a breakup of a friendship, of a relationship, of family members kind of falling out because of one person's or everybody's unhappiness and not being satisfied. And it's going to get even worse. The next sentence in the article says, even my elderly neighbor didn't need me to assist him anymore. So it looks like Nora has got an elderly, so that's an old neighbor, probably somebody in their late 60s, 70s or older, who sometimes needs a bit of help fetching, carrying, moving things around, that sort of thing. But this elderly neighbor doesn't even need Nora to assist him. To assist means to help. She maybe goes over there, does some shopping for him, helps him put stuff away, makes sure he doesn't hurt himself or anything like that. But he doesn't need this kind of help, this kind of assistance. Assistance is the noun form of assist. Here's another example sentence. In many classrooms, the teacher has someone to assist them and keep an eye on the students.
The article then says, nobody needed me. And this can be a particularly difficult situation for a person to be in. People need some sort of meaning in their life. They need some sort of reason to exist. And it seems like in Nora's case, the way she feels is that there's no one depending on her for anything, and she just feels useless. She feels like she can't do anything right.
So the article says, I decided to commit suicide. Which is an extreme decision because, of course, suicide, we can use this as, generally we use it as a noun, and it means to kill oneself. And we often see it partnered with the verb commit. Some people oppose it because commit is often used to mean like crimes. Like you commit a crime, you commit a murder, you commit a theft. And some people say it's not right to use the verb commit with suicide because it sounds like it's a crime then, rather than a tragedy or a call for help, something like that. But in general English use, you will see commit suicide put together. It just means to kill oneself, to end one's own life. Here's a famous example of this kind of thing. The famous artist Vincent van Gogh was very unhappy and ended up committing suicide.
The article then says, I left a goodbye message for Joe, and then I took a lot of pills. So she's obviously decided to take her life by taking a dangerous amount of medicine. And to explain why she left a message for Joe. Now, message, if you can't speak to someone directly, you can give them a message. This could be a written note, an electronic message on the computer, or a recorded message on someone's phone. For example, I went to Annie's desk, but she wasn't there. So I wrote her a message and stuck it to her computer.
It's true. People do often leave what's called a suicide note, some kind of message to explain what they did, why they did it, what they want people to remember, often to say sorry. The article then goes on, but then I wake up in front of a huge library. So this is where the story starts to take its kind of fantasy turn. Instead of dying, Nora wakes up in this huge library or in front of a huge library.
And then the article says, and Mrs. Elm is there. So it seems like she's in almost like some sort of dream-type state, and she can see Mrs. Elm. Perhaps Mrs. Elm has something to show her or something to explain to her, but we'll have to wait to find out what that is. So we'll find out about that tomorrow.
Yep, because that's the end of the first part of the article, so it's time for today's For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
So our chat question is, was there ever a time when you felt very low in life, like Nora in our story? What helped you feel better?
Well, yeah, I can think of a couple of years ago. My father passed away, which was a very difficult time. And yeah, of course, when something like that happens, you're going to feel sad. But I think what helped make me feel better was the idea that I could be sad that he's gone, or I could be happy that I spent as much time with him as I did. Not everyone has a father. So when I focus on that aspect of it, then it helps me feel better about it.
I will go back about 15 years to before I have a illness that kind of makes me, I just need to take some medicine, but if I'm not taking it, I would get very, very tired. And because I couldn't get any energy from food. So before the doctor told me what was wrong, I felt tired all the time. I was putting on weight because my food wasn't being turned into energy. I didn't really want to do anything or spend time with people because I just wanted to kind of go and lie down and try to get more rest. But none of that made me feel more energetic. So what helped me feel better, of course, was knowing what I had and taking the medicine for it. It did feel like I'd suddenly got 3 years younger and I was full of energy again. So luckily mine was a simple fix, but of course not everybody gets such a simple fix in life. Nora obviously needs some help, but we're going to find out how she starts to recover or what happens to her in part 2 of our article tomorrow. Join us then. Bye for now.
Vocabulary Review.
Seem. It seems that Edward is more independent after moving out to live by himself. Talent. Julia Child's teacher said she had no talent for cooking, but she later became a famous cook. Quit. Tiffany quit the basketball team so that she could join the art club. Assist. If you need help with anything, please call the front desk and someone will assist you. Suicide. Students are under a lot of pressure these days, and some end up thinking suicide is the only solution. Message. Robert came home to find a message on the fridge. Gone out to buy milk, Mom.
智慧小补帖
Librarian. Fiancé. Fiancé. Anymore.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net